I'm just real pleased to take a few minutes since one of your honorees had veteran connections. That beside my work with Life Planning Network and with the Positive Aging Movement is I work full-time with Purple Heart Homes, which is a small nonprofit started by two North Carolina's National Guardsmen, Dale Beatty and John Galena, who went to Iraq and unfortunately were caught up in one of those roadside bombs. Dale lost both legs in the accident, in that horrible event. And John came out of it with severe back injury, traumatic brain injury. They were pulled out, came back without the story, recuperated at Walter Reed, returned to their home, which was Statesville, North Carolina, and they were welcomed home. And they were not only welcomed home, they were welcomed as native sons. The city even went together and helped build a handicapped accessible home for Dale. And something happened in that whole process of their welcoming and being thanked. Because what they realized were there were so many veterans who came before them that were never thanked and were never welcomed. And it reminded me of an old African proverb that basically says, I stand on the shoulder of those who came before me, and from that vantage point, I see life differently. And Dale and John did just that, and instantly what they created was, we're not going to go do resumes and find jobs, we're going to start a little nonprofit and help other disabled veterans. And it's really their life work, and now the work of a lot of us, 20 of us who work with him, work with both of them in this organization. So they made the commitment, and since 2008, we have been building ramps and renovating homes and widening doorways, because too many of these veterans are literally crawling into their bathrooms because they can't get there otherwise, because their homes were built in a time when doorways weren't as wide as they needed to be, and so on. Along came in 2010 a woman in our midst now, in our help, whose name is Vicki Thomas. Some of you know Vicki. Vicki grew up in the world of working at ABC, working with credit unions, and as a result of all of that work, and also some veteran work, within 2 years, she called Dale and John, and saw a little clip on TV, and said, I've seen what you all are doing, I respect what you're doing, do you want to be on the map? And they weren't sure what to take of this phone call. And within 2 years, Dale and John were on the cover of Time magazine in August of 2012, along with Wes Moore and other veterans who were called the New Greatest Generation. Dale was one of the top CNN 10 finalists back in 2012, and Vicki herself won the Purpose Prize we talked about yesterday, and it was $100,000 back into the Purple Heart Homes coffers to help with our veteran projects. So building on that, I just want to highlight two quick of our projects, so you can just get a sense. When I saw what your CSA was awarded for that work, here's another variation of that theme. One of our projects is Joe, a Vietnam veteran, came back, lives by himself. The house needed a lot of renovation, and we went in and did it. And if you picture a very snowy winter day, and we were finishing it up, there were 15 volunteers there who happened to be first responders from 9/11. And they started a little company after that called Heart 9/11, and they did a lot of the Hurricane Sandy cleanup, and they worked with us with Purple Heart Homes in doing some of our renovations. We're sitting on Joe's new back porch because it was dilapidated, it was falling down, and they built a new porch, and we're all standing out there. And Joe felt safe enough to be able to share some of his stories from Nam and what happened. And I'm watching the volunteers, tears are streaming down their face. A lot of these guys were Vietnam veterans too, and said, we have not shared anything in all these decades of what happened to us. And there was a catharsis that happened that day that was so special. We go in and it turns into a holiday party, which was the rest of the day. And the special part, there was a nurse there who was taking care of him at the VA hospital, and they had formed a relationship. So it was a social thing. And she said to him, I will be here for you till the very end, because he has Parkinson's and it's at an advanced state. And he said to her, and this house is yours when the time comes. And so that was the first one. The second one, a 97-year-old World War II veteran. And he needed a whole heating, air conditioning, a whole HVAC system. And again, without the story, when that whole installation came, Vicki picked up the phone, called the local VOTEC school and said, let's turn this into an intergenerational project. And 16 teenagers, aged 14 to 17, went into his home. It became living history. And Lou regaled these kids with his World War II stories. They installed this, and when the final installation came, the kids all showed up with little purple hearts.
Aww.
And on every piece of equipment hung what he meant to them and what the whole experience meant to them. So those are just, now, we've done 138 projects. So Cheryl, and by the way, Cheryl, stand up. Cheryl Campbell is one of my colleagues who works with me at Purple Heart Homes. She knows the one. Cheryl does the yeoman's work along with our other colleagues there. But these projects that we've completed, over 50% of them are for older veterans. And a very quick insight into just the numbers, we have 9.5 million veterans over 65 alive in this country. And the older they get, the less they self-identify. They'll never let you know who they are. And they'll think everybody is always far worse than they are. So that they won't let us know that they're out there unless we go and find them. There are 5.5 million caregivers. Again, one of your honorees is one of those folks, and they are working tirelessly 24/7 on behalf of our veterans, and we've got 3.7 disabled veterans out there. They are in all of our communities, and we reach out to them in a number of different ways. There's a page in your program devoted to Purple Heart Homes and the work we're doing, but Cheryl went ahead and said, here are 6 other ways all of us can get involved in this work. And this one, it can be as simple as going on www.phhusa.org and simply like the page. It's a very simple thing to do. It's to help spread the word through social media of just what we're doing. And by doing that, you help us because other people find out and then they say, A, we want to be a mentor, which is another way, or B, we want to help some way. Can we donate? Can we join your Hearts of Honor? Or can we volunteer either A, for a project, or B, to fundraise for a project, and all of that is alive and well. So with that in mind, last point I want to make, there are 500 solutions. It's really our future goals. From 2016 to 2020, we will create from the 138, 500 solutions. In the year 2020, we're going to serve 500 veterans, and we've got 5 minutes, and my 5 minutes are up. So I just wanted to share a little bit about who we are, what we're all about, and thank you for really allowing us to be here and to speak.